Happy Monday, everyone. It's been a few weeks now since we've headed back to Arkham, and I gotta admit, I'm jonesing for some Arkham City. It was the game that really cemented the Arkham series as a force to be reckoned with. Arkham Asylum was so good that it made sense to wonder if it was a fluke. But then City showed up with a bigger world, deeper combat, better boss fights, and a better story. And of course, Sidequest too, something we hadn't seen before outside of the Riddler trophies in Asylum.
In a painting? On the wall?
So today, we're going to be ranking all of the Arkham City side quests from worst to best. Starting at number 12 is the Remote Hideaway side quest. I don't even know what to say for this one. It's a cool upgrade, and I suppose it answers the question of what happened to the police left behind at Penguin's museum, but that's a question we can largely assume the answer to. Even the handful of goons standing outside don't provide anything more interesting than what we can find organically in other parts of Arkham City. I feel a little bad ranking this one so low, because it's clearly not in the same tier as the other side quests, so consider this more of a disqualification for not even lasting longer than this paragraph talking about it. Starting the list for real this time, we have Hot and Cold, which is surprisingly similar to the Remote Hideaway, except this time we have some gameplay with our freeze-related upgrade. I think this mission is pretty good, which I suppose isn't surprising since this is Arkham City we're talking about, but being able to go back to the steel mill, fighting a sizable group of enemies, and getting a pretty solid upgrade too, makes this not only a real side mission, but a pretty good one at that. The only place it really lacks is when it comes to the story, but not every mission needs a plot twist. The same is true for our number 10 spot, and that is the Acts of Violence missions. I think the lore implication of this mission is pretty good. It sees a bunch of politicians who were against Hugo Strange and Arkham City being beaten up by the inmates. It's assumed that these prisoners are being paid to harass political opponents. Funny enough though, because this side mission is playable after the campaign, it means that lore-wise, these political prisoners all survived Protocol 10. Gameplay is solid enough here, though it's admittedly on the sparse side given that it's most often just one or two guys. But it at least offers a large amount of prisoners to rescue, and being able to get lost in the atmosphere of Batman being right behind the thugs is great, no matter how many times I replay these games. I don't consider side quest length too much when ranking these, but I always appreciate side quests that I can chip away at during the story, and this has that in spades. Number 9 is going to be perhaps a hot take, but it's in from the cold. This is one of the few side mission introductions that is unmissable, seeing as how Freeze asks you to find his wife in a cutscene. It's a solid amount of fun looking for the building that houses Freeze, and it takes advantage of our ability to listen in on conversations for hints of where Nora is. Once inside, it's another standard combat encounter, but I think the story here, albeit short, is pretty good. And I love the detail of Freeze creating a path to Nora once the quest is over, and there's also some good dialogue with Freeze after the fact too.
I told you I would find her.
Thank you, Batman. I am sorry I doubted you.
Just fix her and quit this life. You're better than this.
Number 8 is a bit more bare bones, and that is the Watcher in the Wings. Mechanically, we're not getting much here, but the story is fantastic, and having someone like Azrael watching us during moments like when we enter Arkham City or interrogate Quincy Sharp that give us a taste of what the criminals see, a dark figure watching them from the distance and disappearing in a puff of smoke when we get too close. All of this quest strengths come from that allure of Azrael and what it sets up for the next game, especially when we consider that indeed Arkham Knight was the end of Arkham Batman as we knew it. This quest is given a lot more weight than something like identity theft. If this quest had some kind of boss fight or gameplay aside from just looking for Azrael, then it would be much higher, but the way it is now is just not enough to beat some of the cream of the crop here. Number 7 is going to be Cold Call Killer. I think this quest has a fun idea, but it gets a bit tedious chasing phone calls all the time. And when trying to focus on this specific quest, I found myself often running around for upwards of 20 minutes waiting for a phone to start ringing. The story that Zaz tells us was interesting enough, but on repeat playthroughs, there really isn't much for me to enjoy aside from the final confrontation, which is still a solid highlight. I don't want to factor replayability too much into my rankings here, but I do think that because the gameplay here is so weak, I can't put it higher than number 7. While you could argue that getting to a phone in time is a gameplay challenge, the only way you can miss the call is if you're doing a no gliding challenge, and even then, grappling would be enough to get you there. Plus, when it comes to interesting movement-based side quests, there is one that I think is much better, and that is number 6, the AR training. Look, I know this is a hot take, and I know what you're thinking. dude, this quest is some Superman 64 bullshit. And to that I say, dude, this quest is some Superman 64 bullshit. I'm just kidding, sorry. Hear me out though. A good side quest is one that has good gameplay and leaves a lasting impact. As far as gameplay goes, not only does this give us a good tutorialization on the new gliding mechanics, but halfway through, it gives us one of the best gadgets in the series, the grapnel boost. Once we get this new upgrade, the following 4 challenges force us to master the gliding mechanics and pull off some genuinely difficult maneuvers for those who aren't familiar with the movement. The skills they teach us leave a significant impact because when we consider quests like Cold Call Killer, getting to a phone quickly is critical, and these gliding skills even go onward to Arkham Origins and Arkham Knight. For those reasons, it's one of my favorite quests. I understand there is literally no story, but if it weren't for this quest, I would have never come to appreciate Arkham City's movement as much as I do now. Entering the top 5, we're going with the Enigma Conundrum. Okay, wait, just again, hear me out, okay? After this, there's no more hot takes, I promise. I'm the #1 Riddler hater, but as I pondered what the best side quests were, I kept thinking about the metrics. The overall experience, the ability to chip away at it, the amount of content, the story, and anything else that comes with it. And you know what? This side quest kinda has it all. Yes, there are way too many trophies and collecting them all is a massive pain, but on an individual level, there are a lot of Riddler trophies that require genuine thought from the player and encourage you to think about your gadgets in different ways. When it comes to finding the trophies, we can interrogate enemies to reveal secrets, meaning this quest gives us an excuse to engage in the combat, so we even have that in the quest too. Then we get to the ending, and look, I'll agree that it takes too much effort to get here. And I'm not even getting footage of this shit again, so shout out to Arkham Videos, but I have done it before, and the feeling I had once I finally checked this quest off was pure euphoria. You ever play a hard game, bash your head against a boss for a few hours, and the whole time you're saying, this is so poorly designed, and then once you beat it, you say, okay, wait, this is actually the greatest experience I've ever had?
Let's fucking go, dude! Holy! Oh, wow!
That's about what it felt like finally finishing this quest. Number 4 is going to be Fragile Alliance. Now, it was difficult for me to choose between this one and Identity Theft, but I think the reason I don't enjoy this one as much is that a majority of the side quest is running around the map blowing up Titan containers. The gameplay we get alongside Bane is so peak that it borders on being 4-player friend slop, especially when combined with the Batarang ground takedown, which can just shred a majority of the room. It's a short quest, and I was disappointed to not see Bane actually try to be a good guy, and I think we lost out on a potential rematch here, but what is present is stellar. It's a damn good quest, and it could be higher if it had a bit more meat on the bones, which kind of ironic given who we're talking about here. Number 3 is going to Identity Theft, mostly because even if the gameplay isn't the best, we get to see some detective work, and the story here is incredibly interesting. I'd say the weakest part of this quest is that it sets up something that is never paid off. If we got the original Arkham Knight story with Hush, then I'd be willing to put this at the #1 spot. Still, number 3 is at least on the podium, and it's because the way this quest makes Batman and his allies question him is really interesting, especially when we consider the hallucinations that he suffers during the game, and further suffers during Arkham Knight. While Batman's too much of a stone-faced Chad to show it, the events of Arkham City are arguably the most stressful moments of his career up to that point, and it's likely the event with the highest death count due to the Protocol 10 and Joker antics. With all of this on his shoulders, getting to ask the question of, is Bruce losing it here too, makes it worthy of number 3. Getting into number 2, I'm going to put Shot in the Dark. Once again, we have a side quest that is pretty light on gameplay as it's mostly detective work and then a very brief stealth encounter, but I've always enjoyed Deadshot, and I love when Batman gets to set up crime scenes and solve puzzles. I agree with the general community sentiment that this quest is rather disappointing, but I still love it in spite of that untapped potential. There's not much else to say about this one.
Today's video is sponsored by Vacuuming Tips, and the most important one that I can give you goes like this. Do it slowly. Everybody hates vacuuming, okay? I get it. I hate it too. But if you do it fast, you're not doing it right, you're not picking up the dirt, and I'm gonna give you a demonstration. Take a look at this shit. Now I'm gonna go over this slow and then fast and show you the difference. Here's fast. Yes, you get most of it, but there's also parts where it's been pushed around. If you do it slow, look at this. Especially with carpets, you gotta go slow. You can't half-ass it, or else it's just not gonna get done right. So do yourself a favor, take your time, do it right, so then you don't have to do it again, okay? Have a great day, enjoy the rest of the video. I'm sorry for jump scaring you with a white bald man, but I'm going now. Bye.
Okay, so finally arriving at number 1, we have the Tea Party. I'll be honest, this was a big nostalgia pick. I've never been very smart, and when I played this game at 11 years old, my ass really believed Alfred when he said he had a cure ready. I had the minor thought of, that's convenient, and because I was 11 and dumb as bricks, the Mad Hatter being in the very previous cutscene meant nothing, okay? Object permanence didn't hit me until 25. Either way, taking the cure and falling under the Hatter's spell is an excellent moment, especially when we get the rabbit mask. It's a unique combat encounter. Beating up some jackass named Jarvis is great, and while it is short, it's also sweet. It's the quintessential side quest, something you quickly stop to deal with while on the way to a different objective. Okay, so there you have it, all the side quests ranked in Arkham City. I'm sure you have a different list, or you reasonably want to yell at me about enjoying the AR challenges as much as I do, so feel free to sound off in the comments. There's a little too many side quests to ask you to rank them all, so just drop your top 3 and why. If you want to see more rankings like this, then feel free to let me know, and as always, I will see you all next Monday. Take care.